Good afternoon to you. Mark Stout of HurricaneTrack here, Tuesday now the 27th of August 2024. Thank you for tuning in to today's video. The main topic, will this develop? Very potent tropical wave, area of thunderstorms. I mean, look, you can clearly see it. Even in the thumbnail graphic for today's video, that would develop in any other year, you would think. But that's the big question here. Will that develop? And if it doesn't, why? And we're going to try to examine that as we go forward. We're also going to look at a very problematic typhoon in the western Pacific. And then, of course, what's going on in the central eastern Pacific areas and the Atlantic basin. All right. Again, thanks for joining in. Let's get started. First, look at that. That is over in the West Pacific, just off the coast of Japan. Well, I mean, it's already impacting some of these smaller islands down here of Japan. I don't know the names of these offhand. I believe the southwesternmost part of Japan, isn't that Kyushu? I hope I have my geography right. But whatever you call the area, it is definitely getting impacted by a very large, well-developed typhoon, which is the same thing as a hurricane. They just name it something different in that part of the world. Well-developed eye, huge eye. And let me show you something. This thing is going to be a giant headache for millions of people here in Japan over the coming days. This is the GEFS, the Ensemble Forecast System, the GFS version of the ensembles, right? And look at the mean in here, the black. That is just nuts. Milling around, dumping tons and tons of rain. You know that Japan's got the mountains, and oh my goodness, this is going to be a very big problem. Looking at the GFS operational, this is our system right here. That's the Typhoon Shan. Look at that. Over the next few days, it goes into Japan, dances around. This is one of the craziest runs of the GFS I have ever seen, of any global model. Just look at that. Over the next week, let's just take it out to a week, and you see what it's doing there. That dancing around, we go back, we go forward. Yikes. I mean, that's going to be a big headline maker. We wish the best for our friends in Japan. We know James Reynolds lives over there with his family. Very famous world traveler, nature documentarian, extreme weather. And Josh Morgan, Ice Cyclone, he's over there documenting it as well. Josh going to have his work cut out for him, that is for sure. But seriously, this is going to be a big news maker in the coming days as it comes up there and just dumps all that rain over a huge population area of Japan. So we'll start off with that. Now, let's move forward to, where are we? Central Pacific. We got Hone out here, however you pronounce it, dying away. Gilma. I'll show you the satellite of Gilma in just a minute, and if that's a hurricane at 110 miles per hour, then I'm the starting quarterback of the New England Patriots in a few weeks. You'll see. What? What do you say? Hector, tropical storm. And I was trying to see it when I was getting stuff prepped. Well, maybe I got things backwards, but I don't. So look, here it is. There's Hone. We'll put an H in there. There's Gilma, right? And then this would be, and this is Central Pacific. That's why it has an H. And this is Hector, because it's drawing its names from the East Pac. So yeah, if that is a 110 mile per hour hurricane, then look for me on your NFL Sunday ticket playing for the Patriots or whoever, the Bills, whatever. And maybe the advisory just needs to get out and whatever, and it'll be updated, and I'm just behind, or it's behind, or the time lag, you know what I mean? I don't know. But that is not a 110 mile an hour hurricane, whatever. Doesn't matter, it's out in the open ocean. Let's move on. In the Atlantic basin, that, my friends, I'll call it Tropical Storm Doodad. I don't name stuff, that's not my place, I'm just joking, obviously. But it is curious, a little small cyclonic spin with a limited amount of thunderstorm activity. Way out in the open ocean, doesn't matter. But it's interesting because with our high-res satellites, we can see it. And there it is. Elsewhere, though, you've seen those memes and pictures and whatever. They're usually clickbait, and it's usually political. And it'll say, like, what do you notice about so-and-so in this picture? Or even more general, it'll just say, what do you notice about this picture? It's very good for engagement. And like I said, clickbait. But it's true, and it's a good way to get people thinking. Looking at this satellite animation here, what do you notice about it? I'll give you just a couple of seconds to think. All right, your time's up. First, the obvious, there's no hurricanes on it. Well, duh. The other part is the lack of deep convection anywhere. Thunderstorms. It's dry. It's very stable out there. That's not what we were expecting to see on August the 27th of this year, when underneath all that stable air is a very warm ocean. So the reasons behind it, we don't really know for sure. That's going to take some time to figure out. But the end result, all that stable air means we don't have any deep thunderstorm activity. Without deep thunderstorms or upward motion where the air is rising, we're not getting any hurricane development. So until that changes, and one has to assume it will, because when you have a capped atmosphere, warm air over warm air, eventually up in the upper parts of the atmosphere, as we progress into September, it'll naturally cool, and then you will have a more buoyant atmosphere where the warm air can rise into that colder air aloft. So stability issues seems to be the issue right now in the Atlantic Basin. The reason why it's happening, well, let me tell you, there are a lot of people wondering that, I assure you. And I don't know. I don't know the reason. Nobody knows for sure. It's probably going to take some research. But there you have it. So that being said, and this is where the however comes in, and the basis for today's thumbnail, look at that beast right there. That is a tropical wave, a mesoscale convective complex of thunderstorms, whatever you want to call it, a seedling, a big piece of energy at a fairly low latitude. That's Cabo Verde right there, Cape Verde, whatever you want to call it. And this thing is coming off at a pretty decent latitude overall. It's not way up here, coming off Morocco or something like we've seen in recent weeks. So it should get into the Atlantic, and you would think it would be all systems go. But if the air is stable over the ocean, it's clearly not over Africa, which is so weird. If it's stable over the ocean, then it's not going to go. And we're seeing that reflected in the GFS. Our feature, we'll use this blue color here to pop where it is. There it is right there. Some of that energy, the vorticity. And this is 5,000 feet up. It might not be the best layer to show you, but it's my favorite layer, because if you don't see it there, it's probably not happening. Oh, and by the way, I believe that is our little doodad out in the open Atlantic there. Tropical storm doodad. There it is. It does show up a little bit of vorticity on the GFS. Isn't that cute? So let's move this out into time, and again, watch right through here at this energy that's coming off, and let's see what happens to it. It rolls off, and you do see, it is interesting to note, if I can get my telestrator to cooperate here, you do see the curl right there. You can see the monsoon trough bending and the overall curvature of the wind barbs, but that's it. There's not much vorticity in there overall. And if we switch this over to the moisture part and look at it from that perspective, hey, that's really dry. Like, look at all this. There's your moisture, the ITCZ, but where the wave is and whatnot, there's just not much reflection. It's not all curled up and pronounced like we are used to seeing. Again, and look at it. Boy, you can so clearly see it. That's coming right there. You're like, wow, here we go. That's going to be our next named storm. There's Francine. Put a big F on it. And then it just kind of dries up as it gets into the Atlantic. It doesn't do much. And it just kind of gets absorbed into the monsoon trough down there with all of this very dry, low humidity air to the north. Stable. That is the culprit. Why it is the culprit, I do not know, and neither do pretty much anybody. Nobody really knows for sure what's causing it. The cause is one thing. The effect is, well, it's dry out there. We're not getting any hurricane development until that subsides. So this is out to a week right about there, and this takes us to September the 3rd, the day after Labor Day. ITCZ, Intertropical Convergence Zone, is there, but it is pretty anemic looking overall. So take it as a great thing for coastal dwellers and as a hit against possibly, we don't know for sure yet, plenty of time left on the clock, but maybe a big hit to seasonal forecasting. But that's what science is all about. You learn, there are mistakes that are made, there are things that pop up that were not expected, and we'll see though. That only takes us out to September 3rd. We're going to lose a couple weeks, certainly of no development. That's understandable. And again, that's a good thing. At the end of the day, it's great because we don't have to deal with hurricanes, because we keep coming back to this. And it's, again, I got to reiterate, because I'm very serious about this. It has nothing to do with engagement, likes, clicks, views, whatever, my ego. We know, and for those of you that are out there that have been through hurricanes, you know as well, when that rubber band does snap, I'm going to use that analogy, I'll die on that hill, as they say, it's going to hurt. It really will. And focusing on the numbers will shift, it looks like, to where is the it only takes one for this year. Ian was that one in 2022. That was just 2 years ago. Not even yet. We're a month removed. It was a year and 11 months. Almost to the day, right? So let's not forget, just because you don't have a big hurricane season doesn't mean that you can't have big problems at some point. But for now, it's quiet, enjoy it, and you don't have to stress about it. So there's some positives there. I'll be just fine. I'm still doing this whether or not there's hurricanes, because eventually, what do they say? Eventually you'll have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour? Absolutely. And we want to make sure we are ready for when those dinosaurs do pop up. All right? Enjoy the Jurassic Park reference, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. As always, from all of us at HurricaneTrack, thanks for tuning in. I'm Mark Sudduth. I'll be back with more for you tomorrow.